Hello everybody, welcome back to another Thursday edition of Cooking with me, Chris McGee. I have officially named this cooking segment. I don't know if everyone has noticed the post that I posted probably about 20-30 minutes ago, maybe an hour ago or so, I'm not sure, but officially announcing the cooking segment, and it is called Taste of a Texan. I got a fun logo made for it. So thank you guys for all your support. See a lot of family members already. What's up, Cousin Tony, Cousin Irk? Yes, I'm ready to do this. Jennifer Fields, Tiffany, how's it going? Just want to say thank you to all the followers, all the people that have been subscribing, have been sharing, have been joining me on this live from week to week. I really appreciate the love, the followers, all the fun stuff. Today, we're going to give it a few minutes. Business as usual, give it a few minutes, let some people join. Toya, how's it going? Margie, what's up? Yes, Jennifer, I have a new view. Trying to figure things out. Hopefully in the next week or two, I can figure out where I can get a bird's eye view for you guys, so that way you can actually see what's going on in the skillet. Now, once I do that, if I burn something, I don't need no judgment, okay? Just act like it didn't even happen. If you didn't already see the post about what we're doing today, we are doing a pulled pork taco. We're gonna do it with a cabbage and apple slaw with a spicy kind of like dressing to go with it. Other than that, Sarah Powers, what's up? Other than that, we're going to Claudia, hello. Other than that, we're gonna pair it with a black bean and corn salad. This is something that's super fresh. I love to do this during the summertime. Honestly, you can take it to barbecues. It's something really quick and easy to whip up for the fam that'll pair with taco night or burger or a sandwich or whatever it may be. So it looks like we got quite a few viewers already. We got about 15, 16. So let's go ahead and get started. If you guys are cooking with me, I hope that you took my advice and made the pork ahead of time, so that way you can actually prepare the rest of the ingredients and everything in real time. If not, it's all good. This live. Sade Scott, what's up, honorary cousin? If not, this live obviously will be saved to my Facebook wall and then uploaded to my YouTube. And then YouTube, you can find me at Chris McGee. Super easy. All my videos are posted there. If not the same night, a couple days later. So let's get started. What I'm going to do first is go ahead and prepare the pork butt, as you will, for the crock pot. The reason why I like doing my pork butt in a crock pot, it's one of those things like, oh, I want pork tacos later on this evening for dinner. So it's super easy to kind of like throw this in the crock pot, go to work, put it on low. You come back 6-7 hours later and like your protein is already ready. All you got to do is throw some tortillas together and you're good to go. So the pork loin or the pork butt, bone in, definitely is what you want to use. The bone is just going to give you a little bit more flavor. So we're going to use a bone-in pork butt, about 2 pounds. To be completely honest, mine today that I'm doing with you guys on the live is actually a bone out, only because things are crazy in the grocery store right now. You know, items and ingredients are a little bit, sparse. So I couldn't find a bone in for the one I'm doing with you guys on live. But if you can find the bone in, you definitely want to use that. It's just going to add more flavor to the actual shredded roasted pork when you do it. Hey Shelly, how are you? Brian Fox, how's it going? Everybody say hello to Brian and say thank you for sponsoring me. This is the guy who's making all of this happen from week to week. All right, so what I did, I went ahead and started to preheat my pan over here. I just dropped a little bit of olive oil in it because what we're going to do before we prepare this pork butt for the crock pot, we're going to sear it off. Anytime you're doing any roasting or braising of any kind of protein, you want to make sure that you are searing off your protein. What that's going to do is going to lock in all the juice and all the flavor. You know what? Let's go ahead. We're going to slide this into the frame so that way you guys can see me as I'm chopping up things. What I was doing while my pot was heating up, I was just taking my bell pepper and I did a rough chop on it, and then I'm going to take my whole yellow onion and I'm going to chop it up as well for the crock pot. There's no right or wrong like size or dice or anything. Honestly, these things are going to cook down with the pork loin or with the pork butt and give it some really good flavor. So there's no right or wrong when it comes to size to this. Now when we jump over to the black bean salad, of course aesthetically you want it to look a little bit better. So you want to make sure as far as like your knife cuts and everything, you're paying more attention to it. So I got my bell pepper in the crock pot, as well as my yellow onion. And let's see, our oil is heating up pretty quick. So let's go ahead and season our pork butt really quick so we can set this off. Now this is just adobo seasoning that I'm using on this. Don't be afraid to season this generously. You want to make sure you got plenty of seasoning on this, so that way when you add it to the crock pot, there's no need for like extra salt, extra pepper, that kind of stuff. Again, you do want to use the bone-in only because that's going to give it a really good flavor in the process of it being broken down over the in the crock pot. Again, the reason why I am searing this off is just to lock in all the juice. Anytime you do a braising method, you want to make sure that you sear off your protein to give it a really good like crust, and then that way locks in the juice when it's simmering or braising. So while that's searing off and we're getting some good color on it, I am chopping up my veggies again for the crock pot. So we got bell peppers, we got onions, we got our 2 jalapenos that we're going to add here. The jalapenos, I am actually, because I like for my pulled pork to be a little spicy, I'm going to go ahead and add them in with the seeds. You can do with or without, depending on what kind of spice level you can handle. So with this dish, two jalapenos really isn't that big of a deal with the seeds in it. So let's see. Looks like we got about 30 plus people in here joining. Again, just like every week, this show is going to be sponsored by Brian Fox over at Level Up Home Inspections. He has been so gracious to sponsor me every single week. So today's meal costs about 40 bucks. If you like and share the live video to your Facebook wall once it has ended, or you can do it now, start a watch party and share it. 24 hours after the live video has ended, what I'm going to do is do a drawing for the $40, and that'll be sent across via Cash App, or we can do Venmo, Zelle Pay, whatever's most convenient for you. I will say to you guys, if y'all see me sweating in this kitchen, again, keep it to yourself. We got some technical difficulties with our AC right now in this apartment. It went out like 2 hours ago. Fun. So, you know what? That's another reason why I didn't have on velvet. Everybody loved the velvet last week, so we had to keep it a little cooler. Velvet does not breathe, so I wasn't trying to sweat bullets. All right. Not sure if you can see what I'm doing here, but I'm taking my 7 cloves of garlic, and I'm just smashing them. I'm not dicing them up or anything. I'm just smashing them so that way I can get the peels off of them, and then I'm going to throw those to the crock pot as well. Again, I have in my crock pot already the bell peppers, a bell pepper, not 4, just 1. So I have my bell pepper, my yellow onion, a couple jalapenos. We're going to add these 7 cloves of garlic, and then I'm also going to add my beer over here to the pot once I add in the pork butt with the bone in. All right. So let's make sure you get a good sear on all sides too when you're doing this. Not just one side. So make sure you turn it so that every side gets a good sear. We'll hold off on that pan until we get done searing this. It's not too bad, too smoky. All right. So, couple different tips, couple different tricks that I'm gonna talk to you guys about. I know I got some requests last week about potentially doing a vegan meal. Something fun that you can substitute for this, for a protein or for a pulled pork-esque kind of feel, is jackfruit. Jackfruit, you can get it already processed in the can. I just went ahead and took it out of my skillet. We got this seared off on all sides. So something that you can substitute for the pork in this dish is going to be jackfruit. Jackfruit, like I said, you can buy it already processed in the can. You don't have to get the whole actual fruit and break it down, super easy. As far as flavoring the jackfruit and giving it some good flavor, you can do the same thing that you're doing here. Braise it in a little bit of veggie stock and add your bell peppers, your onions. Add your bell peppers and your onions and your garlic and everything to it to give it some good flavor. A 2-pound pork butt bone-in should take about 4 to 4.5 to about 5 hours. The one I cooked earlier took a little bit longer because it was a little bit bigger. This is my one Mexican style lager beer that I'm pouring in there. But about 4.5 to 5 hours is a good gauge. I will say when you're cooking a bone-in pork butt, you should be able to just grab the bone and the whole pork butt kind of falls off the bone at that point when it's ready. So it's ready to shred. All right, so I got all of my ingredients in here. I have my adobo seasoned bone-in pork butt. I have the garlic cloves. I have the bell peppers. I have the onions. And from this point, you guys, you just put a lid on it. Let it do its thing. With that, we got about, like I said, about 4.5 to 5 hours. But I did obviously go ahead of time and make sure to prepare pork butt so that way you guys can see, you know, what all actually looks like when it's put together. All right, you know what I'm gonna do real quick? We're gonna get a paper towel. I'm gonna wipe this sweat. You guys, don't forget, I have been asking week to week for you all to, you know, give me some suggestions and requests on like what you want to see, what you want me to cook. So please make sure you're messaging me, DMing me, and, you know, giving me some suggestions. Mr. Joseph, how are you? Hey, Cousin Taryn, what's going on? All right, we got some people really tuning in today. All right, so we got the pork butt going. Let's start on another element of this dish. We're gonna work on the black bean and corn salad. I do have all of my ingredients, most of them prepped and ready to go over here for the most part. We have 1 can of drained and rinsed off black beans. We have 1 cup of chopped red bell pepper. Now the 1 cup of chopped red bell pepper essentially is about a whole red bell pepper, a whole large red bell pepper. We got a 1/2 cup of diced purple onions, which is the 1/2 of a red onion that I requested you guys to get. We got 2 diced jalapenos here. As far as my seasonings for this, I want the fresh veggies to really like shine through and not be overpowered with the seasonings and everything. So we just got a 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder and garlic powder. And then I got a 1/3 cup of fresh chopped cilantro. 2 ears of corn, and then we got a couple limes that we're gonna add to this as well. So when you guys are shopping at the grocery store and you see the fresh corn, there's always a trash can beside it. That trash can is meant for you to shuck your corn there, A, so you can inspect it to make sure that it's like a good ear of corn, and B, so that way you don't mess up your kitchen like shucking a bunch of ears of corn once you get home. So I've shucked my corn, I've rinsed it off and everything. When you are cutting corn off the cob, make sure that the end of the cob where the kernel is or whatever is cut flush, so that way it'll sit straight up and down on a bowl. And then you just take your knife and kind of run down the cob, and then that way all of your corn kernels are going to fall into the bowl. Don't go too far in against the kernel, just because it tends to get a little rough in the sense of texture. So, but you still want to make sure you get all your corn off the cob. All right, so got that. We're gonna work our way to this next one. Yeah, so also in making this dish a vegan dish, some other fun changes that you can do with this corn salad. It's already a vegan dish. You don't have to worry about that. As far as like the coleslaw, there is some mayo, there's some sour cream that's going to be added to it, that's going to make it a non-vegan. So what you can do is get a vegan mayonnaise, and instead of the sour cream, honestly, I would do vegan mayonnaise and some avocado. Take some avocado and blend that up with the hot sauce, so you kind of got like a spicy avocado mayo that's going to dress your coleslaw to go with this taco. All right, so now that we got that all together, let's go ahead and put together our corn salad, black bean and corn salad. So we got our drained and rinsed off black beans. We're gonna add the fresh corn to it. Like I said, I love this side dish. It's something that's like really simple, really easy. You can take it to a barbecue, throw it on ice in the cooler. You know, it doesn't take a lot of prep, and it's really inexpensive as well. All right, we got our red bell peppers. We have a couple of our jalapenos chopped up already, purple onions, and then we also have our seasonings, garlic powder and onion powder, and our fresh cilantro. Some other things that I wanted to touch on today, like different tips, tricks in the kitchen that you may not know. I already have it set out here. So this is my bag of cilantro. Typically, when people come from the grocery store, they have cilantro or parsley or whatever it may be. You know, you'll take what you need and you'll throw it back in the fridge in this bag. What you can do to preserve the life of this is you can, and I keep hitting my little stand, whatever. We're gonna work it out. But what you can do to preserve the life of your fresh herbs is take a damp paper towel, nothing crazy, just a damp paper towel, don't soil it, a damp paper towel, take your fresh herbs and kind of roll it up in it like so. And then once you do that, throw it in a Ziploc bag. And honestly, when you do this, you're gonna get at least an extra like week or two's time out of your fresh herbs, because you know it has the moisture from the paper towel. The herbs itself aren't really coming in contact with oxygen, not oxidizing everything. So just a fun fact, like I said, just a damp paper towel, Ziploc bagging. This is gonna make you, allow you to preserve your herbs a whole lot longer. So let's go ahead and throw this in the fridge really quick. All right, so in my bowl here, I've got all my ingredients for my black bean and corn salad minus the fresh lime juice. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take 2 limes. A good way to make sure that you get all the juice out of your lime. Hey, Althea, how are you doing? A good way that, to ensure that you're gonna get all the juice out of your limes is take them and roll them on the counter. And that's just gonna kind of loosen up the limes. Also too, when you have them, thank you, sir, I got some assistance over here. So also too, when you have them in the refrigerator, that tends to like make the fruit itself seize up. So letting it sit out at room temperature before you use it is also going to allow you to get the most amount of juice possible. So I just cut my lime in half, and I take a spoon and kind of twist the lime with the spoon here. And depending on how much juice I get out of each lime, I will use both of them, or 1.5 limes. Typically I want to do about a good 4 to 5 tablespoons of lime juice. It's just going to give the corn salad a really nice, bright, and light flavor. And I did wash this lime off after it hit the floor. All right, again, each and every Thursday, I'll be doing these cooking segments. I finally came up with the name, as you guys can see on the last post I made on Facebook. We are calling this Taste of a Texan. So it's no longer Quarantine Kitchen. We are coming out of that negative kind of connotation, and we are calling this Taste of a Texan. What I am going to do now is do a little fresh cracked pepper on this, and just a pinch of fresh salt as well. Always want to do pepper and salt to taste. There's really no right or wrong. Sometimes you need a little more, sometimes you need a little less. We're going to give it a good pinch of salt. I feel like I grabbed too much, so we're going to do the rest in the sink. And then, honestly guys, you're done. Time start to finish with this side dish, it shouldn't take you more than about 12 to 15 minutes. Give you a good look. Good and fresh, super simple, super easy. We're going to put it in our bowl over here, so that way when we get ready to plate up our tacos here in a second, presentation is key. Always, I talk about it every week. You want to make sure you're making things look pretty. Food is a very visual thing, so you want to make sure that you're making things look great. All right, so we got our corn salad all cleaned up and ready. Jesus. That was me breaking the bowl. It's all good. So we got our corn salad all plated up and ready. What we're going to do next is move into our coleslaw. So I took the liberty to go ahead and get most of the stuff ready for the coleslaw. All right. This is 1 bag of the Dole like basic coleslaw mix. It's your basic like green cabbage and carrot mix. And then right here we have our 1/3 of a cup of yogurt, and then 1/2 of a cup of mayo. So let's grab another spoon. And we are going to add this to the coleslaw. And then I have my large Granny Smith apple that I'm going to chop up here. The reason this is a spicy coleslaw is because I'm gonna add the sriracha to it to give it a little heat and a little flavor. This is actually the Diamondback. I don't know if you guys can get this. I'm gonna step on a little glass. I don't know if you guys can get this, but this is a Diamondback Hot Sauce. It's super great, really flavorful. It's the sriracha that's made here in Texas. I love it. I feel like it has a little bit more flavor than your basic sriracha. So let's go ahead, add our 3 tablespoons to this. All right, let's throw those in the dish. Put this back in the fridge. And we're looking good. Again, this week and every week the video is going to be sponsored by Brian Fox over at Level Up Home Inspections. And we are no longer calling this Quarantine Kitchen. This is going to be Taste of a Texan. The reason why I paired this with apple today is because pork goes really well with apple. Lots of times you see, like in a restaurant, you get a pork chop or something like that, and it's served with like a side of applesauce. The like sweet and savory aspect of pork and apples just complements each other really, really well. So that's why I chose to go with the coleslaw with some Granny Smith apples. I like Granny Smiths too because A, they're gonna hold up as far as integrity. When you do like a Red Delicious apple or something like that, they tend to be a little mealy and a little like mushy. So the Granny Smith is gonna have a really good crunch to it. All right. So I just took the core out the apple. I didn't do anything fancy. And I'm cutting it in some little bitty thin slices. And then I'm gonna cut those in half. You want all the bites to kind of really work together. You don't want the apple to be like big, huge slices or whatever. So you're just gonna do like a really good random dice to the apple. You want it to work well with the coleslaw and not fight against it and getting really big pieces of apple. Again, this is a dish that you can cook, especially like the pork butt. You want to cook it ahead of time, throw it in the crock pot before you go to dinner. Before you go to work or go wash your car, whatever you got going on, do your daily activities. And then that way, by the time you come back, it's already good to go. I know a lot of people utilize the crock pot all the time, doing pot roast, stuff like that. I personally really enjoy it, especially, when we're always on the go. Times like now, you're not always quarantined. Where you got all the time in the world to, sit around and prepare meals. Really, really easy, simple dish. So I did talk about how to make this dish vegan/vegetarian, and again, to make it a vegetarian coleslaw, what I will substitute is a vegan mayonnaise. That's super easy. You can find it in pretty much any and every grocery store. You guys, again, this AC went out, so they got me up in here sweating. So don't judge me. I don't want to be a mess on camera. But yeah, you can find the vegan mayo in any grocery store. And I would take a little bit of avocado instead of the sour cream. And then also do a little bit of the hot sauce. And then your dish is pretty much vegan outside of the pork butt. And with that, you just want to substitute jackfruit. Jackfruit has a really great reputation in the vegan vegetarian world right now of being an awesome substitute that's going to give you the same flavors because it takes on pretty much any flavor of anything that you're already seasoning it with. Good thing about coleslaw too, it always gets better the next day. So there's going to be some left over with this dish because you could easily serve 4 to 5 people with this. And with the coleslaw, it's just kind of like an accompaniment to the taco. This is not an actual big part of the taco. But again, this is something that's just going to get better with time as it sits up. So we got our black bean salad done. We've got our coleslaw done with our Granny Smith apples. We got a broken dish over here on the floor, but we're moving right along. So with a little bit of TV magic, this is the pork butt that I made ahead of time. Bone in, like I said, when I pulled this up by the bone, the rest of the meat pretty much just slid into the crock pot. I did, after I pulled all the meat off the bone and shredded it, I did go ahead and strain off all your bell peppers, your onions, and your garlic that you put into the crock pot. That's all really good flavor. You don't want to waste that. So I took that and kind of mixed it up in the pulled pork so you still get all those flavors even after you've already cooked it in the crock pot. So that's the finished dish right now, and then we're gonna go ahead and heat up some tortillas. I know you're probably asking like, what is that random pot of juice back there? So this is the pot liquor, juice, roasting, braising liquid, or whatever you want to call it. Us country folks from Texarkana call it pot liquor. So I say that as well. Say for instance, you make this pork butt and you are going to be doing a dinner party the next day. Save that, because the way you can reheat this is put your pork into a skillet and then add a little bit of that braising liquid, so that way it heats up with the braising liquid and it doesn't dry out. So we're gonna add our tortillas to the pot. I'm using flour tortillas. You can use corn, you can do whatever you want. As far as a tortilla, I personally like to do flour. I do corn sometimes with like my breakfast tacos, just for like eggs. It gives it a little more texture. But today we're using flour. So with this, I'm going to heat them up in a skillet. No butter, no oil, anything like that. Just a tortilla in the skillet to give it a little heat and make it a little bit more pliable. Something else fun about flour tortillas. Say for instance, you're having a bunch of people over and you don't want to go one tortilla at a time, heating them up by hand. What you can do is actually take, you can actually take a damp paper towel and a dish rag, dampen the paper towel, wrap your tortillas up in that, wrap it in the dish rag, throw it in the microwave, 20-30 seconds, just long enough to make them hot. And then that way they're already steamy and hot and fresh, and you can keep them in the microwave with the residual heat. So when your friends are like coming through making their taco, typically when I host a dinner party, it's like a buffet situation. But when people are coming through and making their dish or their tacos or whatever, you have those warm tortillas in the microwave. So it'll take a few minutes to get this together. Let's go ahead and bring our plate over here so we can plate it up. Again, each and every week, you can catch me on Facebook Live. You can also, if you don't have time to tune in, especially once we go back to our regular scheduled program, people going back to work, that kind of stuff, you can catch these videos on my YouTube channel. Chris McGee is how you find me there. Make sure to subscribe, and then also hit the notifications button over on the YouTube channel. So that way, anytime I drop some new content, you get a notification. I went ahead and doubled up on these tortillas so we can get them heating up a little faster, because it seems like they're taking forever. Typically TV magic, Rachel Ray, her tortillas will warm like 30 seconds. Alright, so we'll let that do what it do, and then we'll come back to that here in a second. Some other things that I want to talk about as far as, what's going on right now, that kind of stuff. I know everybody's a little worried about things opening back up May 1st, which is tomorrow. Don't forget to pay your rent. But people are worried about things opening back up and that kind of stuff. Being someone that's worked in the service industry for, over 20 years, it's a little alarming. But I will say, if you are going out to eat, make sure you're taking the proper precautions. Make sure you're wearing face masks or whatever. And also tip your server. Don't be rude, man. If you're going to go out and put down Humphrey Bridge just because you want a cheeseburger that you don't have to make, please make sure you tip these people. Alright, so one of the tortillas are good and done. Like I say, you don't want them to get too much color. You just want them to make them a little bit more pliable. So that way, they're not super stiff. And nobody likes a cold tortilla on fresh hot food. Alright. Again, if you are making these dishes with me from week to week, make sure you guys, after you make it and you finish it, go back to that post, even if it's 4 or 5 days later. Come back to the post and take a picture and post it up. I'm going to be posting those things to, all of my social media. And it's just really good to see, how people's dishes turn out. Alright, so now that we got our tortillas good and warm, I'm going to take a little bit of the pulled pork. And again, I did not waste the braising liquid, nor did I waste the bell peppers and the onions and the garlic and all the good stuff that was in that crock pot when I was making this pulled pork. I made sure to go ahead and drain that off and put it in my pulled pork when I was shredding it. That, like I said, that's just going to give it a little bit more flavor at the end of the day. So we got our pulled pork and our tacos. We're going to do a little bit of the, let's get some of these colors. We're going to do a little bit of this Granny Smith apple and cabbage slaw with the spicy dressing. Again, the dressing has just a little bit of mayo. It's got some sour cream and sriracha. Super easy. Really simple to execute, nothing crazy. And most of these ingredients that I've been trying to use over the last couple weeks are things that we hopefully all have in our home. All right. And at this point, if you wanted to add some like fresh sliced avocados, some queso fresco or something like that to kind of really top off the dish and send it over the top, feel free. But here we go, you guys. Let's see. There we go. Black bean salad with fresh corn, bell peppers, onions, cilantro, fresh squeezed lime juice, and then we got our pulled pork tacos with the spicy Granny Smith and apple slaw. Before we get out of here, let's do what we do. Let's give it a good taste. Make sure everything's tasting good. Honestly, this is really good. I feel like I could use a little bit more lime. This is another reason why you never serve food that you haven't tasted to your guests. Still really tasty though. And to be completely honest, I tried this pulled pork about an hour or two before I started my live. It's bomb, you guys. Yep, absolutely. I would pay good money for that. I'm not just saying it because I cooked it. I really would pay for it. All right. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Each and every Thursday, we've moved away from Quarantine Kitchen. Taste of a Texan. Feel free to DM me with suggestions, questions, anything that you may have missed during the live. Also go over to my YouTube, subscribe there, hit the notifications button, so that way anytime I drop off a new video in my YouTube section, you'll get that notification. All right, thank you guys. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe out there.